Oh, good. It's 10 now. I can start talking. Okay. Let me turn that microphone up a little bit. All righty. Is that on? Oh, okay. I hear the echo. Okay. Hello. Good morning. Welcome back to U of A for what I'm sure will be your most useful and interesting course of the semester. I kid. I know, SOC 366 is a non-tech elective for engineers, so you're probably here because you're like, I've heard sociology is pretty easy. Give me that. All right. I haven't taught this course since 2020, so it's been a minute for me. Okay, so I'm going to go over a couple of things today. I know that this building is 1,000 miles from where most of you have classes. So I will talk about a couple of things that I think you'll find important and useful if you're, and I'll just say, like, if you want to come to class and you come late, no problem. I don't care. If you have to, yeah, by the way, these tables make a huge clunk when they're brand new, but they make a huge clunk when you drop them. So they are incredibly loud. So they're brand new, and it's the one thing they apparently didn't plan for was quiet tables to go down. If you are late, doesn't matter. I don't care, right? Just try to come in as quietly as you can. If you have to leave early, right, because you have to, I don't know, get over to ETLC, and it's February and we're in the middle of a blizzard and you have an exam or something more important that you need to do, right? Just leave whenever you want. But I'll say something else in a sec that'll be useful to you. Okay, so who am I? Obviously, my name is Jeff Broussard. I'm a professor in the Department of Sociology, and I've been teaching here in one way, shape, or form since like 2015. So it's like 10 years for me as either a grad student or now a professor. My email address, there's a couple, when you put it into Gmail, this one and another one comes up. This is my, because I did my undergrad here, I'm stuck with this absolutely terrible email address, jrb5@ualberta.ca. The other one, which is jrbrassard@ualberta.ca, actually goes to the same place, so you don't have to send me two emails. People will sometimes be like, oh no, I don't know if I sent it the right one, so let me send you 3 instead. Please don't do that. My inbox is an absolute disaster. And for reasons of a couple of people quit over the winter holidays, and the department then begged me to teach a couple of extra classes. I'm teaching 4 sociology classes this term, so I can guarantee my inbox is going to be an absolute catastrophe. My general rule is this: if you haven't heard back from me in 48 hours, right? Oh, by the way, I love writing on my slides for no apparent reason. Just forward me the email, and I will then answer you and feel really bad about it. Don't worry about being like, oh, I don't want to bug this person. Like, if you have an inquiry that's important, do forward it to me. And it's probably just that I lost it. Last semester, I was getting something like 100 to 150 emails a day. So stuff moves down the list really quickly. But yeah, don't be worried about forwarding something to me if you happen to need some information. My office is just like honestly 1 floor up from here on this side of the building. I'm in the Center for Criminological Research, but 1-062, like literally 1 floor up this side of the building. That's the center, and you can find me in there. I'm in a little, that's not a cubicle, but it's a small office, which the walls don't go all the way up to the ceiling. So it's very awkward. I hear everyone's conversations, but I'm just in there. I have a 2-hour gap after class, so if you want to talk to me after class, that's probably a good time to do it. And because everybody's schedules are impossible, I don't have set office hours, because I used to find it as like, I will be in my office on Mondays from 10 to 1, and then people were like, well, I can't meet from 10 to 1, so I'm like, okay. And no one would show up from 10 to 1. Everybody needed custom times. So yeah, just come and talk to me, or send me an email and we can arrange a time if you have any questions. And usually this comes up, after midterms. People want to review them. We can find a time. All right. So for this class, so we're about 100 in here. I think the class capacity is about 130, which makes taking, in-person questions a little awkward. Plus, at some point, people will be like jumping on the live stream. This is a little tool. You may have seen it before. It's called Slido. And it's basically, you can do a bunch of things with it, but I mostly use it for questions, right? Especially in big classes. And for each kind of block of lectures, right? So every unit, I guess, or every module, I will have a different Slido code. And I'll try to bring these up at the beginning of each class. And basically all you do is you go to like slido.com. I can't write on this one. Slido.com, enter that number or scan this QR code, and it takes you into like a Q&A thing where you can just type in your questions. And if you're over in ETLC or at home in your pajamas watching the lectures at home, you can still ask questions and participate. Do we have quizzes every week? No. This is not an engineering class. This is a sociology class for engineers. You will find the standards to be quite different and potentially laughable. I'm actually not sure. I remember the first time I taught this class, I had come from teaching like SOC 100. Is there an essay? Oh, God, no. You're engineers. I don't want to read your writing. No, I'm kidding. I'm sure some of you are fabulous essayists, despite all evidence to the contrary. I'll talk about evaluation. My sister was an engineer, or she is an engineer. She's not dead. She's still alive. But I sort of ended up with a part-time job in my undergrad degree, which my first one was in English, correcting essays for all of her friends who were taking, the mandatory SAE type courses. And I remember her one friend, Heather, who's absolutely brilliant. She now has a PhD and she works like for the government in something crazy. That's a great question. I'll answer that in a second. But I remember splitting one sentence she had into 17 sentences. So after this point, I will say, no, I don't want to see your essays. Thank you very much. Okay, so do you have quizzes every week? You do not have quizzes every week. Is there an essay? There is not an essay. Can you all get A's on this course if you work really hard and answer every single one of the questions correctly? Then yes. Statistically speaking, that's unlikely to happen, but is it possible? In theory. The course is not curved or scaled or anything like that, so you could drastically outperform. What was I saying about Sociology 100? Oh, the first time I taught this class, I had to scale up the difficulty of the questions because I realized that engineers have better study skills than art students. And so honestly, the first exam, it was like everybody got like 90. I'm like, this is bad. I scaled up the difficulty a bit for the second exam and things worked out okay. But I'm like, I see what happened here. I was assuming you were like lazy sociology students. Okay. Are the exams in online format? So yes. So, but also no. But also yes. So we're going to write them on Canvas, right? Our course page is Canvas. You're going to come in and do them in person, though. So you're going to do them in this room on any device you want. I don't care. It can be an iPad, it can be a laptop, it can be your phone. I don't know what other kinds of devices there are, but you know, if there's another kind of device that can access the internet, you could probably do it on there. So you'll do them on Canvas, but we'll do them in class, and I'll have, you know, a couple of students in here kind of helping me supervise to make sure no one's cheating. It's just really, really hard to have online exams written remotely when there's multiple choice, because it's just too easy to control F the answers. And frankly, ExamLock and SEM are both god awful terrible at actually stopping people from cheating. So, you know, we'll write it in class, but you'll get the results back pretty quickly. Okay, are the lectures recorded? Yes, the lectures are recorded. They are live streamed. So basically, if you look on the course page on Canvas, there is a link that says recorded lectures, and it will take you to a YouTube playlist that's on my personal YouTube channel. No, I don't monetize my YouTube channel, so I'm not making YouTube ad revenues on this. Strangely, as a, you know, the place where I post my lectures, I don't have 1,000 subs, so I can't monetize. What is the average grade for this class usually? Could you take it on a Nintendo Switch? How good's the browser on the Switch? I don't know. It doesn't have one. Then no. You need a browser. So I'm going to go with no. Then, yeah. You might be able to take it on a PlayStation, but it would be very awkward. Okay. Also, you'd have to roll in your own TV, which would be, you know, challenging. Okay. What's the average grade for this class? I will have to look that up. I don't remember. Like I said, it's been about 5 years since I taught this particular class. So I'm not sure on the average. We're in a third-year class, so the university demands that the average be no higher than basically kind of a high B+. And I never monkey with my grades, but they usually end up kind of in the high B to high B+ range for the whole class, right? So again, it's probably different than engineering classes where the average is a, you know, a high D-, and you know, everybody got 42% on the exam, and then we curved it. Okay. How will accommodated, oh man, you guys have great questions. Sociology students are still all asleep at this point in the term. We'll get through the silliness eventually. Okay, someone upvoted that. How will the accommodated online exams work? So for those of you that have accommodations, right, whether it be extra time or something else, hopefully not the audio accommodations, because those ones are a real pain. Basically, you'll write them remotely. You don't have to use the proctoring services. I'll set it up with SEM for that small selection of students. But yes, it only works if it's a small group. And I haven't looked at how many people have accommodations, but you can write it at home, and we can work out the timing. I'll email you as we get closer to the exams and all that jazz. What's my favorite food? Oh, probably steak, to be honest. All right. Well, why don't I here? How will you be assessed for the semester? Why don't we go to the next slide and I'll answer that. Okay. So yeah, each lecture is live streamed. You can join on the live stream. You can watch it later. You know, you can slow me down to 0.75 or speed me up to 2 times speed. I don't care. It's all up to you what you want to do. And yeah, they're posted on YouTube. So easily accessible, and a much better platform than the ones the U of A offers. Okay, there are 3 exams. And yeah, completed in person through eClass. Okay, textbook. Actually, I'll come back to that one in a sec. Okay, because I should put these in order. So basically our dates are February 5th, March 14th, and I don't know the date of the final exam because they haven't posted them or confirmed them yet. They have this crazy table that you can look at, but I didn't. So I'll let you know as soon as I know the confirmed final exam date. Yeah, so there's 3 exams for the course, 2 midterms, 1 final. Each is worth a third of the total course grade, and they're non-cumulative, right? So basically, once midterm 1 is done, you can put that content out of your brain, move on, and just focus on the second midterm. I will post, I'll provide examples of the types of questions on the exam in the class before the exam, and I will also post some practice questions for you on Canvas. Once I get some access from Top Hat to access their kind of question bank, I will start putting those things together. But like if you look at the schedule for the class, the one class before each exam is I've left it for like questions and review, and I'll go over like some examples of the short answer questions and how you could answer those questions. I don't know, maybe if we have time, maybe we'll throw in a Kahoot there and we can practice some multiple choice questions in class like you're in the 7th grade again. It'll be great. It's super fun. Yeah, please.
In the course syllabus, for the midterm, are the timings for when they're going to begin posted? Because I actually have another midterm on the same day as 14th March.
So, I mean, it's just in class, right? So you shouldn't have any overlap because you shouldn't have another class at the same time, right?
I have another midterm on the same day.
Right. So I'm not understanding your question.
Like, are the timings, like, when are they going to begin for the midterm?
Like the time of day?
Yeah.
It's going to start at 10 a.m. and it'll be done by 10:50. Yeah, because we're doing it in class. Yeah, unless you have an accommodation. Like if you have an accommodation, we can move those things to a different time of day, but that's something we can talk about closer to the exam. Okay? All right. Hang on. Oh, yeah. Hopefully this doesn't make you laugh. Exams are non-cumulative, and basically they're 30 multiple choice questions and 4 short answer questions. Each of these is worth 1. Each of these is worth 5, right? So basically each test is out of 50, and it's the same, right? The midterms and the final are all the same, so you can kind of think of them as 3 midterms. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go back quickly for the textbooks. Okay, so I answered this. Will you get practice midterms? I answered this. Yes, no assignments. No assignments. I'm far too busy for assignments in this class. So it should be easy, right? And pretty straightforward for you. Okay, so this is the textbook that we have assigned for the class. Generally speaking, so it's a Work Industry and Canadian Society, and it's offered now through Top Hat. I won't be using any of the crazy Top Hat features or making you pay for anything, so don't worry. You can buy the book on Amazon. I think it's like $76, or you can go to Top Hat and get a digital copy. That said, my general thing with textbooks, okay, so how to explain this? Maybe y'all are different because you haven't been traumatized in the same way sociology students are. One of the things that people always kind of ask is, will there be anything from the textbook that's tested that you didn't talk about in class? And the answer to that question is no. Everything that I will test in the course, I will have talked about in the lectures. So do you need the textbook? Only if you find textbooks helpful, right? So if you are the kind of person that, or maybe I'm not making sense to you, you find me to be a, incoherent person, or I go too fast or too slow or whatever, the textbook might be useful to you for clearing up some misconceptions, right? Or getting another way of explaining the same material. But I will not test you on anything that I did not talk about in the lectures. So if the question is, could you get by without buying the textbook? Generally speaking, yes, as long as you're paying attention to the lectures and all of that jazz, you should be fine. And again, you all have pretty strong study skills because you're engineers, so I think you will be okay. I hate making people buy textbooks because they're expensive. You use them once, and they're kind of evil. Okay, there are some older editions of this textbook still kicking around. If you're going to use the textbook, I would say don't use anything older than the 7th edition. I remember one time I was teaching this class, I think it was 2018, and I had someone come in with the second edition. And he was like, man, a lot of the stuff that you're talking about is not actually in this textbook. And I believe that's because the textbook was from 1998. Which I was like, yeah, where did you find that? He's like, oh, it belonged to my cousin who took the class like 20 years ago. So so I say that because apparently there are still copies of like the second and third edition of this textbook kicking around. It's been around for a really, really long time. So I mean, if you can find one, or I think you can find PDFs of it on LibGenesis. Don't go any older than the 7th edition because a lot of stuff has changed. The 7th and 8th editions are not that different. That said, they moved a bunch of stuff around. So some of the chapters are not going to correspond. So you have to do a little bit of mental work to make sure you're looking at the right material. But it shouldn't be too hard. Okay. Other questions? No. Yeah, I mean, kind of miscellaneous points, and then how much have I used? 20 minutes. We'll end early on the first day because I always know people want to jump in and jump out of classes. I don't want to start on material until Wednesday. I mean, I'm here to help you succeed. I want people to do as well in this course as they want to do. And why I phrase it that way is, you know, some people are just looking for a B, and B is good enough, right? Or a C, or a C minus. Probably no one's looking for a C minus, right? Most people are looking for C because C's get degrees too. So if you're, or if you want an A, I want to help you get there. So if you're struggling with course material or the midterms or whatever, I'm there to help you. And like I said, I got a 2-hour block after this before my next class, and I'm on campus 5 days a week. So we can definitely find time to meet, or I can talk to you on Google Meets, anything like that. But I want you to do well. I want you to do as well in this course as you are happy with. I guess one other minor miscellaneous point that I'll say that's not in here. If you are emailing me, please put in the course number into your emails. Like I said, I'm teaching 4 courses this term, and me trying to figure out what class you are referring to, if you forget the course number, can be very irritating over time. The other thing is the grades for the course will not be rounded, right? So whatever you get on the grade scale is the grade. So at the end of the semester, the grades don't get rounded. Sociology has put in a policy where we're not supposed to round up the grades to fight grade inflation and all of that stuff. So, at the end of the term, the grade is going to be what it is. Okay. So what is this class about? So obviously it's called People in Industry, which I think tells you pretty much nothing about what the course is about, but we're basically going to treat it like a sociology of work class. So we're going to talk about work, how it developed from pre-industrial forms. That's going to get really irritating. You'd think that the people who build chairs could think of a way to make the tray go down silently. Engineers, work on this. Come on. Are there like furniture engineers? Is that a thing? Or I guess furniture designers. Okay, someone did not engineer these. They made them as loud as possible. Okay, so yeah, basically work, how it came to be, how it came to look like what it looks like, especially movement through kind of industrialization to the post-industrial economy, which we are in now. How it's organized, right? How we set up our kind of organizations to do work, how we experience it, social relationships within it, and a bunch of other things. We'll look at unpaid work. We'll look a little bit, though not a ton, at some gendered patterns of work. So pay gaps and this sort of thing. I'll try to give you some really minor basic lessons in economics, and how a lot of sociologists screw up a lot of the economic arguments around work. And yeah, we'll talk about some local, national, and international perspectives. I'll tell you a little bit. So I mean, these are just the course objectives. I won't talk about those too much, but I'll just tell you, right, you should be able to kind of talk about by the end of the course. Some basic sociological theories, which we'll spend a bunch of time on, how they apply to work, what a labor market is, and some key characteristics of the labor market. Changes in social and economic organization from the Industrial Revolution to the present. Explain how work is socially organized in contemporary society, so along gender, age, paid and unpaid lines. We'll talk a little bit about unions, everybody's favorite thing, at the end of the course. We're going to talk about some managerial paradigms. And actually, that sounds really boring, but it's actually really fun. And everybody, in my experience, towards the end of the course, when we start talking about things like Japanese management, people get really into things like Japanese management styles and Japanese management techniques. We'll talk about things like how Toyota, basically started as a tiny Japanese car company, is now the largest producer of cars in the world, and how the way they manage the company and their employees actually plays a big role in that. And it's actually super interesting. I'll also talk about how your kitchen and the way your kitchen is organized is a product of a bunch of sociological work on domestic labor. So yeah, the way your kitchen is organized is actually all the fault of sociologists. So we'll analyze, some things around job satisfaction and worker alienation, and how being in a good job changes your perspective on work, and how being in a bad job actually shortens your life. So fun stuff like that. Okay, me pull up my question slide. Any questions? Otherwise, we'll call it a day for today. And I promise I'm not going to end 25 minutes early every day. I usually go kind of buzzer to buzzer, but since it's the first day, and you have to make your way back from the rotting hellscape that is Torrey, this is possibly the worst building on campus. Any questions? Other than that, I'll let you go, and we'll see you on Wednesday.
You